Hello.
Hello.
I will be, by the way, distracted by the blur on my zoom in and out of this pillow, by the way. Just so you know, I'm going to be looking at that the
Oh,
entire time. But yeah. Um,
it's perceiving it as flesh, I see.
yes, it's like, oh, this is peach colored. You must be a human.
This is a person.
Yeah, no, it's just a pillow. I will always say now that everyone can see us that Lexi slept in that bed. So maybe the camera remembers that and is like,
Oh, maybe it's just my
actually,
impact.
this wasn't in here, I don't think. We're here. So I take back my creepy camera comment. Um, cool.
I mean, I did very much sleep in that bed, so
Yes.
that's not a lie.
No, but the creepy camera comment, no. Awesome. Okay. So today's episode is going to cover a few different topics that have happened over the last month at least. It's been just a little bit over a month since N7 Day, and we're not going to necessarily rehash that. We're sometimes really bad about saying the same thing 8,000 times, so we're going to attempt to not, but we probably
Hmm.
still will. Yeah, so we figured we'd start with a little bit of a Mass Effect minute. We need, oh my gosh, Momo to give
Hmm.
us some sort of intro for Mass Effect minute. Yeah, so I figured we made an episode, that's what it's called, for N7 Day. But after the official N7 Day, there was a small little annual reunion amongst many members of Mass Effect cast. I'm not going to go through the list of who was there because if you listen to this, you know who was there because you were either watching or are aware that they do this every year. But it was your standard crowd. Um, Nothing too groundbreaking. There was some very good Jen Hale content because the person who was supposed to be our friend Ash, who was supposed to be moderating, was sick. And so she had to moderate. And with respect to Jen, while she's probably one of the greatest voice actresses of all time, she did not know what the hell she was doing, and it made for some comedy. So,
Hmm.
Jen Hale, if you're listening to this, we love you.
We love you
No
so
shame.
much.
That's why Ash does it because he's perfect and beautiful at it. Lexi,
Hmm.
what do you think was your favorite takeaway from the reunion?
I mean, I think it's they pointed out too that it's like this fandom and the series itself is what allows them to keep meeting year after year. We don't really see that with um a lot of other series that have a wide variety. I tried to say array and variety at the same time. New word. But a wide variety of casts that like to come together for this thing, and I mean that in of itself is always the nice thing to see every year, that there's always going to be some kind of panel. And of course, as we always lament that
Here we go.
Yvonne
It
Strahovski,
lasted 3 minutes, guys.
I
Just
know,
kidding.
isn't there. And I understand why. And also, she is a career actress, so she is also doing her own stuff and also like raising, I think, three small children. So, good for her. But but it does seem to be the same core
Folks.
actors, and that's always nice to see. And it's nice that they get to be able to do that, to whatever capacity. And then of course they went on to do their little streamily signings.
Yep.
I tuned into Kimberly Brooks's for a little bit, and then I switched over to Alex Wilton Regan's for a little bit, so that was also kind of nice as like a little follow-up. Although it's very hard to try and like flip back and forth between the Instagram lives of like, oh, I want to watch Alex, no, I want to watch Kimberly, no, I want to watch Mark. But I do think that's really nice of them to do that. I keep trying to justify to myself to buy one of those Streamlies someday, but I'm like, but unfortunately, the American to Canadian dollar plus the shipping is just a little bit too much out of budget for me. But and I do have Kimberly Brooks's autograph that a friend got me years ago from a convention, so I'm good on that front. But it's nice for, I think my favorite thing is just that they are able to actually just do that. And I mean, yeah, they kind of talked about the same things, but um there's only so much you can talk about, as we well know. But I think it's nice that they still get to catch in and still kind of talk about the little things that they have, the memories and little stories that they are able to talk about. Um, and be able to do that. And yeah, once again, credit to Jay Hale for being able to step in for Ash and still let that happen is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, anything other than what Lexi mentioned, what you mentioned, is that Mark Hale. Actually, it wasn't
Mark
even
Hale.
Mark Hale. Mark Meir. They got married, and he took her
They
last
did.
name, which should
Yeah.
happen. Any person who were to marry Jennifer Hale should take Jennifer Hale's last name, 100%.
Hmm.
Um, Mark Meir mentioned, I believe, that it would be fun to do a tabletop RPG with the Mass Effect cast when they're playing their characters, and he went through and sort of identified like what everyone's class would be, and that was really cute, especially for me,
Hmm.
who's a fairly big TTRPG nerd. Obviously, Lexi and I play D&D together, so it was just cool to see that. I liked that a lot. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. So and then of course everything Lexi said, I have shockingly similar sentiments.
Hmm.
Yeah. So moving on. So one of the big events that happened in gaming recently, so almost a week ago, because today we're recording is the 13th of December. Actually, a month literally a month from N7 Day, was the Game Awards, and
Hmm.
I'm not gonna go. We're not gonna go through every single award that was given. I think notably for both Lexi and I, we were both quite pleased to see that Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year. Um,
It was
I
a
don't
long
know.
3 hours to stay up for, though. I'm
I
not gonna
didn't.
lie.
I didn't stay up. I didn't stay up for it.
It
I
was pushing it. I was sitting there like, okay.
I was not feeling well. I think I ate something wonky and I
Hmm.
was in bed with belly aches and I was like, man, I'm just gonna look this up in the morning. I forgot what episode or what award I even got to, and I was like, yeah, we're out.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I was not surprised to see that it had won, but I was, pleasantly surprised that it had won.
Hmm.
And I don't know for you, I think Baldur's Gate 3 has certainly notched itself in my top 5 games that I've ever played. And it's very it's really not like Mass Effect at all, but I just wanted to take time to talk about it because you and I really
Hmm.
enjoy it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm slowly but surely going to finish it. My goal is to finish it before picking up Cyberpunk with the new update because I haven't touched that yet.
Sure.
But so I'm in Act 3. There is a lot to do in Act 3, and it's very much like I have to sit down and be in a mood to
Yes.
want to play that long to make any progress. But from the game so far, and just I'm playing it as my D&D paladin, so I'm making decisions based on what she would do.
Sure.
But I have other playthroughs started that are going to be on based on those characters, or a character that or making an original character that I'm just going to use as my avatar for my decisions, to see what will happen. But I do think it is, truly substantial, and especially because, I've never played any of the previous Baldur's Gate games, which, BioWare did have a hand in making. I
Hmm.
believe it was the first
I
one.
think you're right.
Um, and so it's kind of nice to see the success story of the series, and coming into what Larian has done for the for both an RPG game, an RPG, but also a tabletop based RPG as well.
Sure.
There is a specific term for that kind of video game. I can't remember it, but it's really nice to see that these similar sort of companions who you can romance and have in your party and have banter and have personal missions, like that sort of model, still being used uh, very effectively.
Sure.
And I also really like that, kind of similar to what Bioware did with Dragon Age, both Dragon Age 2 and 3, but and actually I think the first one too, I can't remember. But having like the sort of companion approval
Oh yeah.
system as
Yeah, the
well.
system. Sure.
Because I think that's really neat, just based on your decisions, and not just like interacting with them, Paragon or Renegade, but like also your decisions matter. And I think that would be neat for a for the Mass Effect next, if they could somehow incorporate that, because I think it's always interesting in these games where you are making these difficult choices, um, or substantial choices, that your companions will think of your character differently depending on how you choose to play them and interact with them. Not just their personal missions, but the whole story overall. So I think that's something that could be
Mhm.
perhaps taken from Larian's book and re-implemented on the Mass Effect side of things, from as well as Dragon Age. And overall, I just think character design and interactions, and again, um, you know me, I'm kind of indifferent on the character of Astarion, but you have to say that Neil Newbon really did knock it out of the park, and definitely deserved the voice actor of the year by, a lot. Now, I will say his character did get the most content compared to the others, but what he had, he did truly, you know, put himself out there. But I also love that they did the whole mo-capping and making those sort of expressions and everything more realistic. If I'm gonna chastise them for one thing, it is kind of the awkward like RPG character standing there, not really having any kind of physical movement in a conversation
Sure.
sometimes, or like certain repetitive animations. But again, that's kind of a thing in the genre that lots of games do. But I really do think that there's just a lot that they've set the bar really high. So hopefully that kind of influences other games to try and because they see that, this is successful, so
Yeah.
let's put it in ours.
Yeah, I really like the connection you made to the approval system.
Mhm.
I'm thinking when I played Inquisition, when I played this, there was so much content out. I was like just late enough, certainly with Baldur's Gate, even though I played it pretty quickly, and I was certainly late on Inquisition when I played that I could look up like, oh, how to romance and like what approval to get. And as someone who would probably play whatever, Mass Effect next day one, um,
Mhm.
I think an approval system would be really interesting because I wouldn't know what things,
Mhm.
would be approved or disproved by and what characters I would want to disprove and etc. And so, yeah, that I like that. We'll write to BioWare, guys, don't worry. Um
Just
and the
petition them.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then the other thing that you made me think of as you were speaking was in terms of I don't remember his name. I should have written it down, but the fellow who won for voice acting. I saw
Mhm.
some commentary that someone wrote like, I really feel bad for Larian, like to select who gets nominated. The whole cast could have been
Oh, for sure.
the all five nominations, which is no disrespect to the other voice actors and actresses who were nominated, but like everyone did a great job, and um, just sort of to move on from Baldur's Gate. If anyone is interested in sort of watching voice actors do their business. They do have, I think, one episode so far of the cast of Baldur's Gate, the main um, companions. I wish Minthara had been there, but doing also a D&D, playing as their
Mhm.
characters live, and it's just really interesting to see how talented they are.
Yeah, it was through the High Rollers
Yes, correct. Thank
D&D
you.
group, and they had two episodes
Oh, there's two of them.
of yeah, they were both about 3-ish hours
Hours.
long. Um,
Oh,
and they were originally on Twitch, but I believe they are now on YouTube. But it seems like a lot of the cast themselves are getting into playing
yeah,
Baldur's
they're
Gate, which
streaming
is really
themselves playing.
fun.
Yep,
We've had Shadowheart and Lae'zel's actresses, and now I believe Tracy Wiles, who voices Jahira, finally got her YouTube channel sorted out. She had some difficulties with them for some reason.
that's really cool.
Um, so she's also out there, and I know, of course, our beloved narrator, Amelia Tyler, also has a lot of experience with D&D, so she also has a playthrough as well. So there's lots of fun content, and it's really nice to see the cast being able to engage with the fandom in such a way with through D&D also.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Um, Well, I know what stood out to me at the Game Awards, but I'm curious, Lexi, if aside from Baldur's
Mhm.
Gate 3 winning, if there was anything specific that stood out to you that you're wanting to talk about.
Yeah, well, I mean there was a lot, and I'm kind of someone who mostly focuses on like PC games because that's what I have. So some of the handheld stuff I wasn't really paying
Sure.
much attention to, but I will say Exodus.
Yeah. Took the words right out of my
I
mouth. It's like we planned it.
oh yeah, um, that was a trailer that kind of depicted a very Mass Effect like sci-fi RPG, um, and I think for a lot of us, from what that one trailer, we definitely saw kind of the potential for something as emotionally invested, like something to be emotionally invested in.
Mhm.
The story, the characters look good, the sort of environment. It did definitely remind me kind of like a little bit of The Expanse, Mass Effect, a little bit of Destiny in there too.
Don't say
I know.
why. Why you gotta say that?
I'm sorry I said the D
The
word.
D word,
The
man.
D word,
Oh,
but Okay, look, your gripes aside with Bungie, I will say Destiny is a
That's a
pretty game.
it's a beautiful game. I mean,
It's
I'm
a
never
beautiful
gonna.
game.
That was never part of my qualm with with that game. It was a beautiful,
No,
beautiful game.
no. And that's what I'm referring to is
Sure,
just
sure.
kind of the vibe of the
Okay.
aesthetic and the sort of look, but not so much the model of gaming.
Sure.
Um but it definitely gave a little bit of hopefully maybe filling that what did you call it?
The
Space
space
drama?
drama void. I
Mhm.
would say Mass Effect is a space drama.
Hmm.
I think I don't think last year or this year, but maybe last year there was an episode. I can't tell you which one it was, guys. So that means you'll just have to listen to all of them. Um, where we talked about how Starfield seemed like it was going to potentially make a play for the throne. I think it's still safe to say that Mass Effect holds the throne for
Mhm.
single player space drama RPG. Um, and I played a very small amount of Starfield and was really not impressed. I'm a big Skyrim. I'm a big Skyrim
Mhm.
guy, and I love Skyrim, and Starfield did not scratch that itch for me whatsoever. And so when I saw this trailer, I thought to myself, like, here's another game
Mhm.
that's making a play for the throne. And obviously, we're not going to know what it is until we play it or we see more content. There's no release date. My guess is probably 25. Quite frankly,
Mhm.
maybe late next year. Um, but I think the thing that even puts this at more of a quote risk to Mass Effect unquote than Starfield was that this game, I think the head of this game or one of the heads of this game is a former dev from BioWare, who
Mm.
worked on Mass Effect, and so I think that really, when I was watching that, I was like, "This is This looks like Andromeda." They're like in a vault. They're like grabbing something. They're like, but okay. I mean, like Andromeda didn't break any, barriers by
Yeah.
any means, or didn't do anything new. So it's okay that there's other games like it, but this one really stood out to me. I'm really really looking forward to it. They did a nice job showing off sort of like narrative, and then they
Mhm.
showed off some gameplay, and I don't know what that quite means for Mass Effect.
Yeah, it could be interesting to see. And I mean, there's some people who are like, oh, look, another space sci fi game. But
Sure,
I think space is a great genre and there's so much you can do with it that could be new. I'm just kind of quickly skipping through it again just to refresh myself. But
sure.
I do think, like I said, there was very much the expanse vibes, sort of with the light speed bit.
But even that was
And
like a mass relay,
well, of course,
right?
but
Like
yeah.
I was like, hmm.
Um, And I mean, to say that The Expanse, I believe The Expanse novels actually did start coming out just after Mass Effect. So, they definitely
Mass Effect.
influenced.
Mass Effect is the queen. I don't know what to say.
Yes, yes. The Expanse started publishing in 2011. So,
Fair. Okay.
um, but yeah, to, kind of see another contender and something that's more story heavy, because I feel like that was kind of the downfall of Starfield,
Yeah.
was that it's again a Bethesda game, and yes, there is a story, but it's not like it's the open world RPG, and not really a direct linear model of a game like Mass Effect is.
Sure.
And and even Andromeda still had more of that sort of open world, but also still very much a narrative driven game.
Yeah. More narrative than open world, I would say,
Yo, for
for
sure.
Andromeda.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah, no, I'm not saying Andromeda is open world. I'm just saying
Yeah.
like there's more to explore in that sense, but it's still very much this is the storyline we're following.
Sure.
Um, and the things with Starfield that I remember reading that people were criticizing was like there were a lot of open spaces that would take you 5 to 10 minutes to travel to walk to because there were no ground vehicles or anything like a Mako or something to find something to do. And just felt that the gameplay fell kind of flat in
Yeah.
that regard. I haven't played it. I don't really think I'm going to, but it's
Yeah.
an unfortunate when you get so hyped up with something
Yeah.
and then just are kind of disappointed with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, trailers like what we saw for Exodus, any game, are supposed
Mhm.
to, like, hype you up. And I'm okay falling, quote, victim, unquote, for that. And because I'm okay, like if I don't like it, like, well, okay. I also like have uh the Game Pass, so I didn't spend any money on
Hmm.
Starfield. I guess technically we paid for Game Pass, but no, I got to play it for free and spend any extra money on it, so it doesn't feel as bad. Um, but yeah, I think I'm not I'm not any more worried for Mass Effect than like post Andromeda, right? Like I don't say to myself like Exodus is gonna just make Mass Effect next irrelevant. No, absolutely not. But I said this about Starfield too. I think any competition is good. I mean, that's a good business
Hmm.
practice. And I think I don't know. If anything, it's probably going to benefit Mass Effect next because
Hmm.
Bioware is going to be like, "Yo, we got these other games coming out that don't look shabby." I mean, Starfield was a success for some people. I just didn't like it. I
Hmm.
know plenty of people who really like Starfield. Um, it just wasn't like for me what I thought it was going to be. But Starfield probably benefits Mass Effect too, both because it didn't live up to some of the hype and because for many it did.
Oh, for sure. And, like you said, I think filling that void is going to be important, especially with speculations that Mass Effect Next probably isn't going to be coming out anytime in the near
No,
future, especially because, as we've talked about before, they need to have a win with Dragon Age 4. Um, because I have, I don't want it to happen, but with the way that a lot of layoffs have been going on at BioWare and other dev company and other, developers right now, that if DA4 doesn't do as well as they project and need it to be,
yeah,
then that could be very well EA pulling the plug on BioWare, and it would be a tragic day to see. And I don't want that to happen, of course.
yeah,
And but I do think that they need Dragon Age 4 to do what it needs to do, and to be popular and successful in order to keep going for Mass Effect. Um, but I think Mass Effect fans are, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of overlap, of course. But I feel that, with Mass Effect, like, I think a lot of people are really invested in its story. And hopefully that, yeah, something can fill the void and get people still excited for that genre of gaming, and to hold them out after the next Dragon Age and get them excited for the next era of Mass Effect.
sure. I fully agree. I don't think we could wrap that part of this up any better. Um, I guess you mentioned Dragon Age, so I don't know if there's benefit just with the last few minutes, just to kind of talk
Hmm.
about because for people listening, they're Bioware fans. There's a chance that people have played Dragon Age. Dragon Age Day, similar to N7 Day, is December 4th. D4 looks like an A. Hooray! But they did release. Was it? It was like a teaser trail. It didn't really show a whole lot. But
Yeah,
it
yeah, it was
certainly
like a
teased Dreadwolf.
yeah, and they teased a full, I think it
It
was
was
a
a full
teaser reveal,
yeah,
like like
it was like a
a
teaser
teaser for the
trailer reveal.
teaser.
Yeah, yeah, it was like
Yeah,
a
and so
teaser
the
for the
trailer
trailer. Yep.
like the trailer will be coming next summer. I think it was June.
I think June.
I think
I
June.
think
It
to
it was summer.
me that means either holiday 24 release or spring
Hmm.
25 release. But who knows at
Yeah,
this point?
or maybe even fall. Like, but I think, well, Christmas season. But I mean, even like
De-
American Thanksgiving, Black Friday
it depends on what. It
holiday.
depends. This December week, like literally where we are, usually has some sort of big release. I think.
Hmm.
I don't know about this year, but I don't know. I just think, yeah, November, December 24 is my guess, but it could move to like, the Horizon games come out on like the March release, and so those are kind
Hmm.
of hot releases too. But I don't know. It feels. I'm not like a big Dragon Age person. I would say in this
Hmm.
dyad, Lexi is the Dragon Age aficionado. I've only played Inquisition, but it does feel a little bit like something's not like fully coming together here for Dragon Age. It feels a little bit like it's hard to be excited at this point, I would think.
Yeah, and I think the thing is too is like we've had like there was some early like alpha footage that they had shown a while ago that looked kind of okay. I
Mhm.
mean, obviously it's not polished.
Mhm.
Um And then there wasn't a whole lot, going on until this little teaser, which I mean, we got to hear some voiceover. The one woman in the first part kind of sounds like Sombra, Overwatch's voice actress. But then she also kind of sounds like Jahira's voice actress from Baldur's Gate. I'm always that person who's like, who is that?
It
I'm
wasn't
going to
supposed to
find
be
them.
Josephine, right? It was someone else?
No, it was not Josephine. It's definitely these are all like new
New people.
voices of
Okay, okay,
characters that we
okay.
haven't heard before.
That's where I was like,
Um
oh, it's Josephine. Like, absolutely not, Rachel. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
and just and kind of showing that we are going to go to previously not seen areas in Thedas, Ravane, Antiva, the Anderfels, and of course I'm forgetting it, the place where Dorian's from.
Don't remember. I'm not the right person to ask.
Yeah, anyway, I'm totally blanking, but we're going to be finally able to see like the more northern half of the map, and they kind of showed sort of an interactive ish kind of map in the little teaser. So
It
gonna be
looked
kind of
it
neat to
looked
see.
interesting.
Gonna
Yeah.
be neat to see some like new areas that we've only heard about through players who are or characters who are from there, and knowing some of the lore. So, I think that's going to be interesting. And of course, we did have, let's not forget, the little animated Dragon Age series that
Yes,
was on
that's true.
Netflix,
That's true.
um,
Forgot about
where,
that.
it seems like they're going to bring back my problematic fave. So hopefully she'll have a role to play in the game as well, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah.
And, alongside tracking down our public enemy number one, Solus. So
Spoilers.
it's going to be kind of interesting, and to see like what they're going to do with the story, and how they've always kind of had the Mage Templar conflict throughout all of the games, because that is kind of a central tenet to the Dragon Age world, but also having like a big bad to also eventually fight in the end. So could be interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, it's hard to get excited when only the little things you're getting is the little teaser. Now, I will say I did like the N7 day sort of what do they call that, where they do like an online like puzzle thing that you have to like figure things out
Yeah.
and then you get
Yeah,
the
yeah.
answer. I thought that was really well done, and kind of they've been teasing us every year with something. So at least we do have that, and so we'll see what
We'll see.
Bioware does. I'm
I
I will probably play Dragon Age 4, provided that I still have interest and I have a computer that can run it.
yeah,
Not that my computer's breaking down, but it needs an update.
sure.
But to
I
see where that's at.
Yeah, I think Mass Effect fans, even if you're not a fan or have never played Dragon Age, should have their eyes on Dragon Age and the way that it performs, and the way and its success or its non-success, and because
Hmm.
I think we both agree that that will have a direct impact on Mass Effect. So yeah, that was just our December episode. We did it. Holy cow. Lexi and
Yeah.
I
Do you have?
are.
Oh,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, do you have any final thoughts that I didn't touch on? I feel like I
No,
talked a lot.
no, you were great. When it comes to Dragon Age, I really you're the person. Like I said, I played
Hmm.
Inquisition. I don't really have much knowledge. I don't even, and I played Inquisition so long ago. It's like I
Hmm.
only know Josephine and Liliana because, of course, I do. And so yeah, I was just gonna say, I think our plan is, now that we kind of have the hectic things in our life a little bit more managed and we feel more confident managing them. Our plan is to hopefully produce an episode once a month. We've tried a few different ways of doing that, and it seems like once a month is the most realistic.
Hmm.
Um, and we have a few things that we're kind of thinking about doing, and hopefully we can share those with you if they come to fruition. And if not, then you'll never know, and it'll be fine. So thanks for listening. Everybody be well, and we will see you in January. Have a happy holiday
Hmm.
season, a very happy